Reebok and Prince together for a fresh take on a classic silhouette. This is the Reebok x Prince Club C85. Let's get into it. The Club C is to Reebok what the Superstar or the Stan Smith is to Adidas. Fashionably casual, iconic, and available. You can generally count on being able to get your hands on a pair year-round in a bunch of different colorways, and because they're so available, there's usually codes or sales that apply to them, which means you don't need to pay full price, unless of course they are a limited edition collaboration. I don't know what the highest selling Reebok shoe is of all time, but I would think the Club C85 has to either be up there or number one, just because it's always available and it's in Reebok's lineup year after year. If you've tuned into the channel before, you'll know that I've got a soft spot for Reebok. I grew up in the late 80s and 90s, and that was a period when Reebok was really at the top of their game. And so I've found it a little bit sad that they haven't done so well in recent years. And that's why I took so much interest in this collaboration. It was really good to see that attention being placed on a model that doesn't seem to get any special treatment at all. And it's almost a perfect match because, like Reebok, Prince was once huge, pioneering the oversized tennis racket and signing on some big names in tennis like Andre Agassi. About 10 years ago, they filed for bankruptcy, and their presence on the tennis scene, I think, has dwindled away. They're still around, but as I understand it, they're not really signing on any of the big names anymore. If I'm wrong, I'm sure someone out there who is into tennis can correct me in the comments below. And for those people who are into tennis, I'm sure it's going to be nostalgic to see Prince make a return in the same way it would be for me seeing a pair of Reebok pumps be re-released. But all that aside, what this collaboration brings is actually some pretty minor updates to the original Club C85. And that's actually a good thing. The changes that they've made have been small, but they're enough to make an impact to the original, almost as far as making them better. We'll get to that as I break down some of those changes, but as far as those changes go, they've really been limited to the material choices and the inclusion of Prince branding around the shoe. As far as those material changes go though, the all leather upper has been swapped out for a mostly leather upper, but changes to the front end of the shoe. There is a suede panel that stretches around the toe box just above the midsole right to about the midfoot of the shoe. The biggest change though, and where I think they've improved on the original, is this mesh panel that they've put in the toe box area of the shoe. Naturally, that mesh is softer than leather, and what practically happens when they're on foot is it just feels a bit more comfortable and flexible, I guess. Having said that, there is nothing wrong with the original Club C85, but personally, if I had to put these two next to each other and pick one based on comfort alone, I'd probably pick this guy over the original. Outside of those changes, we see some Prince branding in the window, on the midfoot of the shoe, on the tongue, and of course around the back on the heel. In this colorway, that branding is all done in pink, and I think it gives this especially kind of Miami's 80s type of vibe that really fits in well with the Club C85's design. Underfoot, we've got some more changes, and this is what I love to see in lifestyle shoes. When we talk about performance shoes, there is a balance that the shoemakers need to balance. The outsole needs to fit the performance needs of the shoes, and sometimes aesthetics is a second priority. For lifestyle, generally rubber's rubber, right? And so it's good to see them pay some attention to an otherwise forgotten area of the shoe to give it a little bit more interest. In this version, we've got translucent rubber. Underneath that, we've got massive Prince branding. And then there is a Reebok stamp, I guess, on the translucent rubber, which is a lot less noticeable, but not a real issue. Like the original Club C85, this guy fits true to size, and I'm not sure you would expect anything differently. It was released in 2 different colorways, so there was this pink version and then there was another one that had blue and yellow. Both of those models give off the same vibe, that 80s kind of feel, but just in a different way. The shoes were both released alongside a whole bunch of apparel items, and the one thing that they all had in common is that they charged, in my opinion, a hefty premium over and above the regular items that would be sold by Reebok. And this is my issue with the shoe. So for comparison, the Club C85s retail for $130 here in Australia. The Prince collaboration is $160. That's a $30 increase or a 30% price rise. However, like I said at the top of the video, generally you can find the Club C85 on special. So that gap is actually much bigger. There have been some improvements to this guy, and from an aesthetic perspective, I really like what they've done. But is it worth a lot more money? Maybe not. If they were around the same price or same price-ish, I think I would definitely go, I would definitely go this model over the regular Club C85, but I just find it hard to be able to recommend them on the basis that you would have to pay such a huge premium. That's probably not much help. Anyway, is this a shoe that you even took notice of? I'm not even sure what regions it was released in. It was only released through the Reebok website here in Australia, but like I've covered in another video, Reebok don't seem to stock a lot of their shoes more broadly outside of their core range. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below, but until the next video, laters.